It's Super Videos back at you for another video. In this video, we're going to be looking at a new theory that's going around. Richard is planning to kill Carol. Or to be more exact, Richard is planning to secretly kill Carol. Now, I read about this theory that Richard is planning to do this in an article. And also, there were some people who pointed out that in the promo for 7B, or the second half of season 7, Daryl can be seen punching someone who looks a lot like Richard, or the head of someone who looks a lot like Richard. And I kind of put those two together and thought about how this could work out, whether there is any substance to this theory, and I came out with a conclusion that it is definitely possible that this is the direction they're heading and that this is what they're planning to do. So, if you remember in 708, we have Richard telling Carol and Morgan that he wants Morgan and Carol to help him convince Ezekiel on attacking the Saviors. But both Morgan and Carol disagree with this, and they don't want to do anything like that. That pushes Richard to a more dark direction. Because if you take a look at what Richard does, he goes into this secret location and it's like he's contemplating something. He starts crying. He's thinking about doing something, but he knows it may not be the best. Or he may know that it's the wrong thing to do, but he's gonna do it so that he can get Ezekiel to attack the Saviors. In my opinion, and based on the theory, Richard could be contemplating to kill Carol and blaming it on the Saviors, saying the Saviors did it. That way, both Morgan and Ezekiel will want to take revenge on Carol's death, or at least confront the Saviors for that action. So that way, Richard is indirectly pushing or forcing Ezekiel and Morgan into helping him assemble an army to attack the Saviors. This can also be appended to another sort of theory / observation. If you take a look at the promo for 7B, you can actually see Daryl punching someone and it looks like it is Richard. If you take a look at the hair, it matches Richard's hairstyle and the hair color. So it seems like Richard is being beat up by Daryl. And there's no logical reason for Daryl to be beating up Richard. Assuming that this happens right after they meet the kingdom and Ezekiel, there's no reason for Daryl to be beating up this new character because of course, Jesus is introducing them to the kingdom. And so they are friends, or they are labeled as friends by Jesus. So there's no reason for Daryl to be beating up Richard, unless he finds out that Richard has a plan to kill Carol, or his attempt fails in some way. And that causes Daryl to beat up Richard. So if you put these together, you can see that it's definitely possible for this theory to have some sort of substance to it. And if that's the case, then we see that they are pushing Richard in a direction that's very different than it was in the comics. Of course, in the comics, Richard doesn't have a big role. He's there, but he doesn't have a big role. But it seems like in the show, they are giving him a small story arc. And it's very interesting. I actually love this theory. And I think if this is, in fact, where they're going with his character, I think it's great, it's creative, and it brings out an element of realism into the mix because it's realistic to think that some people, even though they may be good people, they're gonna go through extreme measures to do what they believe is the best for their community. I want you to share your opinions about this theory, whether you agree with it or if you disagree with it. And if you do agree with it, if you think that this will end up getting Richard killed in this half season or not. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.